Hey, it's Jeff. Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to show you how to propagate the Sansevieria by two different methods, the single leaf as well as plant division. I've been working on some propagations for the better part of a year. It's probably been closer to like 15 months, so I'll show you those and just kind of what to expect when propagating this plant. I'm going to start off by showing the propagations here first. This is the one that's about 15 months old. It started off as single leaf cuttings, propagating in water, have obviously since transferred it to soil. So this is basically what to expect in about 15 months to like a year and a half kind of thing. That is one thing that I didn't realize about these plants, is that it takes so long to not only start roots, but just start pushing out some growth. These ones here have been in for about 9 months. I'll be taking them out of water here today, but there's two different types of snake plant in these. This is the Sansevieria Whitney, which has come off of this plant here. And then I think there's some Whitneys in here as well, but this one right here is a leaf cutting from the Sansevieria zeylanica, I believe it's called. Might as well show the other ones here as well. This is the bird's nest Sansevieria. It's a more compact, smaller version, I believe, of the zeylanica. Here is the Sansevieria moonshine. This was like a plant trade, and traded one of the Sansevieria Whitney cuttings. So I'll take them out of the containers just to show you a little bit more in depth about the roots and where they start to sprout new growth from. So I just took this one out of water here real quick just to show you when you make the cut at the bottom, the roots basically just sprout out from where you made the cut, and a new little growth point just pops off from the bottom here as well. So this is what to expect when you propagate it in water, and I'll show you how to do that on one of my plants here in a second. I'll just kind of run through these here quick. Same thing, I think this is a Whitney. Just placed in water. I did a little V-notch on the back here. I've seen that done before. I think it's just to accommodate roots like when it's sitting on the bottom, just so it doesn't squish them, but it doesn't seem to really make a difference because the roots are pretty well the same. Now, one thing that I was curious to see when propagating them in water or propagating them in general is if the plant would maintain its variegation. It looks like it does, specifically with the zeylanica here. I'm not too sure if it will on the Whitney. I don't see any of the classic variegation along the sides. Actually, there's a little bit on the back, and it looks like it is just a very similar pattern to the zeylanica. So that's pretty interesting. This one might revert back to its original form. I'm not too sure. This one is looking a little bit yellow here. I'm not too sure why. This was, again, another little experiment one that I can't remember if I took the cutting off of, no, that's not right. I don't know. Anyways, I snipped the top off. I don't know what I did with it. But this one, it's a little bit larger. Oh, okay, so this is the Whitney as well. Looks like it's got some more of that zeylanica type variegation on it. I hope I'm saying that right and not making myself look like a goof. I did remove, okay, I'm just gonna pull them out of the soil here, like this. Gonna shake those off. So I did remove the I guess single leaf from these guys right here. It was starting to yellow and it basically snapped off. So I think that's what you basically wait for, is this leaf to die off. Oh, it's got three little sprouts there. So I might cut this back, or I might cut it around, and then I'll be potting these up today. And then here they just fell off. They just broke off or just snapped off the little leaf that they were attached to. So this one had two, and the leaf basically just snapped right off. Do have to say one thing about this plant before I start chopping it up. This is in the front entrance of our house. It's a north-facing window and door. It basically gets no light, and honestly, I can't remember the last time I watered it. I just sprayed it down today, just as the soil was really dry and these stems were flopping over. There's also a little bit of wrinkling at the bottom, so that tells me it's a little bit dry. But anyways, I probably watered this, I would say maybe 6 months ago. You basically water your plant based on the amount of light that it gets. So this basically gets 0 light. And it does not grow or anything, but I don't have to water it. And if I water it, say like once a month, this plant would probably be dead already. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to propagate it. Take some clean pruning shears, and I like to snip just at the bottom of the plant. Just make a nice clean cut so that you get a section of the stem that looks like this. Now you can just take this cutting, let it callus over for maybe a day or two and stick it in water. You will get some roots popping out the bottom here and you will get a new plant. But if you want to make multiple plants from one large leaf like this, I'm actually going to cut this off. Then you basically cut it up into little sections. So you'll always want to make sure that these cuttings are in the right direction. So you want the bottom of the cutting to be in water. So if it is reversed, like if this was flipped around, it will not grow any roots, or at least I don't think it will. So you can take a number of cuttings like this. Just make sure that the cut bottom is always facing down, just something like this. So you have a number of cuttings like that you can place in water, and they will all start their own new plants. You don't need a lot of water in the container, just enough that it covers the bottom of the cuttings. And I'm simply just going to place all these cuttings bottoms down, just like that. And now let's wait for 6 to 9 months. So the second method of propagation is by plant division. So these Sansevierias will basically send out some shoots, some lateral shoots, and they will sprout up into an entirely new plant. You can see there's a number of different cuttings. So here's a new shoot, here's a separate one. Looks like there's a few more back there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take this, or I'm gonna remove it from the pot, but I'm actually gonna scrape down. I usually take the plant out of the pot, but since the soil is so loose, I should be able to find where it connects to the plant. I can feel it already. Just, I'm gonna remove some of the soil here. Just gonna place some of it in this little tray here, and then I can just put it back without making a huge mess. Of course, I picked the one that has the stem coming from the deepest part of the pot, but you can see these are super dry. That's not looking good. These roots are all basically dry, but the reason why you wanna dig as far down as you can, you wanna make sure that you have some roots along the stem. That way you can just cut it at the bottom, take it out of the pot, and then it will already have somewhat of a limited root system to it. You can just stick it back in some soil and it should grow. This one, I might have to I'll cut it out deep, right like at the bottom, but it's not looking like there's any roots on it. They're super dry. This is not a good example. I do apologize. There should be more roots on these, but like I said, since it doesn't get a lot of sunlight, it's not in the greatest condition. You can see it's all kind of wrinkly, which definitely tells me it's been needing some water. I'll just kind of scrape away just so you can see there is little roots along the side. Actually, this looks pretty good. This one's quite nice. I've taken a cutting here before. But yeah, this is basically what you do. You can take the plant out, like I said, out of the pot and cut it off. But for this one, I'm just gonna dig down. All right, so it actually sprouts back this way. I thought it came from this part, but I'm just gonna stick the pruning shears down here and see if I can just snip it off. There. Hopefully there's some roots on it. And there is. There's a little bit of roots at the bottom. It's got a really long stem, which I'm kind of surprised to see. Usually they're quite a bit shorter and it just pops out of the soil, but it does have some roots. I'm gonna try and maintain these. I don't know if it's sufficient enough to allow this plant for survival, but it should be okay. I'm gonna pot it up in some soil and hopefully it survives and makes more plants like this one. I'm just gonna put all the soil back in, completely block the camera. That's awesome. And pack it down. It's like that propagation was never even there. Okay, I'm gonna pot all these guys up here first. So I'm going to arrange them so that they all fit in one pot. And I'm actually going to, I don't know if you're supposed to or not, I probably would advise against it, but I'm going to cut as much of the leaf off as you can. I don't want all these leaf tops sticking out of the soil. So I'm just gonna cut it like that. Just cut these off. Again, you can propagate this into another plant. I'm just gonna cut it. I'm probably gonna get roasted in the comment section, but I'm going to just try it. Just do a little experiment. I'm gonna keep all the roots on this guy. There doesn't look like there's much coming from the side. So I'm just gonna cut this one back. Eventually, this little leaf portion will just basically rot off. Same with this one here. Maybe I'll just see if I can snap it off. That's really blown out. There you go, that's a little better. I'm just gonna see if I can, I'm just gonna snap it off. Okay, so that worked out okay. Probably pop this back in water. Be interesting to see if another growth point comes from there. I'm just gonna do it with these guys too. Just snap them off. Okay, so they still got some roots. That was actually pretty easy. They just have like one little growth point there. So this will be a cactus succulent soil with some extra perlite. I'm just gonna put that soil back in. I'm going to just make room for these guys. Just gonna lay them all on top. And this should make a nice full little cute pot of Sansevieria. I snapped one of those leaflets off of, I think it was this one. I'm just going to dump some soil on top. Just fill it up a bit more, just so they don't flop over. This guy can go upright. Afterwards, I'm going to give it some water. I'm just going to spray it down just so all the dirt can be washed off the leaves. Put some soil back here. And actually, I'm looking forward to see how this one grows with these two different types of Sansevieria in this little pot. I'm just going to take my spray bottle now. Just wash these leaves off. Just helps settle the soil as well. And especially with these ones that were rooting in water, you want to make sure that those water roots don't dry out. There's some perlite like in the little bottom of the leaf there. Come on, I'm gonna give you the blast. There you go. Get those out of there. I'm actually gonna do a little experiment with this one. I'm going to be placing it in a glass container, and I always advise you to make sure that your pots have a like a drain hole at the bottom. Especially with these Sansevieria, they can be easily overwatered. But this one, I want to place it in the glass just so I can see the root growth as the plant continues to grow, and maybe see some shoots coming off the side, which would be actually pretty neat to see. I want it sitting a little bit lower in the pot, so I'm going to sacrifice some of these lower roots and cut off like that. So I'm going to place it something like this. There's some dry, dying, or dead leaves on the side. I'm just going to pull those off. And like I said, I'm still going to be using a cactus succulent mix, and I'm simply just going to dump it in the bottom. I do have an Amazon Canada and US store. I have a bunch of plant accessories and soils and fertilizers, so if you want to go check that out, you can go do so and see what I'm using in some of my videos. I'm just going to add soil around it until it stays upright. Despite these being known for low light plants, like I said, the one it's not growing at all, these actually like and grow much quicker when they're in bright light. So if you have a bright sunny spot, I have mine on the floor just underneath my south-facing window, and they grow like crazy. The Sansevieria Whitney anyways. So there you have it, from start to finish. Here's the ones potted up in soil, and this Zeylanica potted up in a glass container. So I think that's going to be pretty much it for this video. If you have any comments or questions, please leave it down below. Let me know your experience with propagating Sansevieria snake plants. Otherwise, thanks again for watching, everyone. Take care. Bye.